What happens when family loyalty clashes with personal boundaries? When compassion for loved ones turns into enabling bad behavior. These stories dive into the messy, emotional, and sometimes infuriating realities of family dynamics, where love, resentment, and tough choices collide. Each tale exposes raw human emotions, grief, betrayal, frustration, and the desperate need for respect, while challenging you to question where you draw the line. Buckle up, because these aren't just stories. They're a mirror to our own biases, forcing us to confront uncomfortable truths about family, empathy, and standing your ground. Let's start with a heart-wrenching scenario that'll make your blood boil. Imagine your spouse, battling cancer, already grappling with the physical and emotional toll of chemotherapy. She's lost her hair, a devastating blow to her confidence, and now relies on a wig to feel a shred of normalcy. You support her wholeheartedly, proud of her strength. But then, your sister and her teenage daughters move into your home after a messy divorce. At first, things seem manageable, until the twins start fixating on your wife's wig. They pepper her with questions, ask to try it on, suggest straightening it, and even pressure her to show her bald head. It's not curiosity. It's a relentless invasion of her privacy. Your wife, already vulnerable, brushes it off, but the girls don't stop. Then one day you come home to find your wife locked in the bedroom sobbing. The twins stole her wig, hid it, and taunted her to come out without it. When she begged for it back, they laughed and recorded her distress. Yes, you read that right. They filmed her, a cancer patient, in her most vulnerable moment. You confront them, retrieve the wig, and unleash your fury. They call it a light-hearted prank. Your sister, their mother, defends them, saying your wife is too sensitive, and that recording her was no big deal. The betrayal cuts deep. You've opened your home to them, and this is how they repay you? You tell them to leave, evicting them despite their tears and pleas. Even your elderly father begs you to reconsider, claiming the girls were just acting like typical teenagers. But your wife no longer feels safe in her own home. Can you blame her? This isn't just a story about a wig. It's about respect, boundaries, and the gut-wrenching choice to protect your loved one over family ties. The emotional stakes are sky-high. Your wife's dignity versus your sister's entitlement. The twins' behavior taps into a cognitive bias called the fundamental attribution error, where we excuse our own actions or those of our kin as situational but judge others harshly. The sister sees her daughter's cruelty as a harmless prank because she's blinded by her love for them. Meanwhile, you see it for what it is: bullying. The controversial hook? You evicted your own family. Some might call it harsh, but others will cheer you for standing up for your wife. It challenges the societal norm that family always comes first, no matter what. What would you do if your home became a battleground for your spouse's dignity? Now let's shift gears to a different kind of conflict, one that pits passion against obligation. Meet a 26-year-old guy, a diehard March Madness fan, who's been obsessed with college basketball since he was 6. Every year, he takes the first 2 days of the tournament off work to watch with his buddies. It's his sacred ritual, a once-a-year escape. But his girlfriend's sister, Carolyn, is getting married. Her third wedding, mind you, on the same weekend. Months ago, they asked him to be an usher, but when the date was set, it clashed with the tournament. He told his girlfriend, Lindsay, he couldn't attend. She begged him to prioritize the wedding, but he stood firm. After all, Carolyn's track record of messy marriages doesn't exactly inspire confidence. Lindsay reluctantly agreed he could skip it, but now she's furious, calling him a child. Carolyn and her mom are texting him non-stop, guilting him for choosing basketball over family. Here's the kicker. He jokingly said he'd attend Carolyn's 4th wedding, no problem, implying this one doesn't matter. Ouch! That line exposes his frustration and a deeper truth. He feels Carolyn's repeated weddings are less significant than his annual tradition. The emotional tension lies in the clash of values. His loyalty to his passion versus Lindsay's need for support at a family event. The cognitive bias at play? The availability heuristic. He overvalues March Madness because it's a vivid, emotionally charged event in his life, while the wedding feels like another chaotic Carolyn production. The controversial angle? He's prioritizing a basketball game over his girlfriend's family. Society expects men to put relationships first, but he's unapologetically choosing himself. Is he selfish, or is he just being honest about what matters to him? This story hooks you by forcing you to pick a side in a debate that's anything but black and white. Next, picture a joint birthday party that leaves one sibling feeling like an afterthought. You're the older of two brothers 8 years apart with birthdays close together. Every year, your family throws a joint celebration, which you love, until you realize you're always overshadowed. This year, the venue was booked for your brother's arrival, complete with a grand happy birthday serenade. The cake? It contains an ingredient you're allergic to, a detail your mom forgot. Your brother's gift is thoughtful, tailored to a passing comment he made months ago, while yours is a regifted item tossed your way with a shrug. The entire night revolves around him, leaving you fighting tears. You're an adult now, but the pattern persists and it hurts. You love your brother and don't resent him, but you're tired of feeling invisible. So, you're considering skipping future joint parties, quietly making other plans to protect your heart. This story tugs at the universal fear of being overlooked, especially by those you love most. The emotional core is the tension between self-worth and family harmony. You're battling the status quo bias, where you've accepted these unequal celebrations because they're tradition. The controversial hook? You're thinking of ditching a family event to prioritize your mental health. In a culture that glorifies family unity, that's a bold move. It challenges the assumption that you should grin and bear it for the sake of togetherness. The story resonates because we've all felt sidelined at some point, wondering if speaking up makes us the bad guy. Would you stay silent, or would you take a stand for your dignity? Now imagine inheriting your grandmother's vacation home, a place where your family has made memories for years. You're a mom of two and you've never liked dogs. Your brother and his wife, however, are obsessed with their 2 dogs and have brought them to the house for years. Now that you're the legal owner, you lay down the law. Your brother and his wife are welcome, but the dogs aren't. You don't want them around your kids, and your parents back you up. Your brother refuses to visit without his dogs, opting to vacation elsewhere. You're furious, feeling they're choosing their pets over family. Your siblings, though, think you're overreacting. They argue that your brother respected your rule. He just chose not to come. This story is a masterclass in emotional escalation. The surface issue is dogs, but the deeper conflict is about control and respect. You're grappling with the confirmation bias, where you interpret your brother's decision as a personal slight because it doesn't align with your expectations. The controversial twist? You're mad at your brother for exercising his freedom to choose. It flips the script on who's being unreasonable, you or him. This narrative hooks readers by tapping into the universal struggle of balancing personal boundaries with family expectations. It's a psychological tug-of-war. Do you have the right to dictate how others vacation? Or are you overstepping by getting angry at their choice? Finally, let's dive into a messy household drama. Your teenage brother, John, asks if his friend Sarah, 20, can stay at your parents' house after getting kicked out of her home. You agree to let her use your room and bathroom, as the house is crowded with your 6 brothers. Soon John and Sarah announce they're dating, upsetting your mom, who's now dealing with her underage son's older girlfriend. Sarah loses her job, and your dad starts covering her car payments. You secure her a job, but then she reveals she's pregnant and skips the opportunity. Now, she's hinting at wanting your room for her, John, and their unborn child. You're not hateful, but you're frustrated. Sarah's priorities seem off. She's posting on TikTok about her dream life, while relying on your family's support. You refuse to give up your room, but the pressure's mounting. This story is a powder keg of emotions, compassion, resentment, and the fear of being taken advantage of. The cognitive bias here is the sunk cost fallacy. Your family keeps supporting Sarah because they've already invested so much in her, even as her choices raise red flags. The controversial hook? You're standing your ground against a pregnant woman, which some might see as heartless. But the story challenges the notion that pregnancy entitles someone to special treatment, especially when they're not pulling their weight. It's a psychological gut punch, forcing you to question where generosity ends and enabling begins. Would you give up your space or would you hold firm? These stories aren't just anecdotes. They're a deep dive into the human psyche. They exploit our emotional triggers, empathy for the vulnerable, outrage at injustice, and the primal need for respect. By weaving in cognitive biases, they expose how our perceptions shape our decisions, often leading to conflict. The controversial hooks: evicting family, skipping a wedding, or refusing to accommodate a pregnant woman, break societal norms, sparking curiosity and debate. They challenge you to rethink what's right and wrong in family dynamics. In the end, these tales remind us that family is both a sanctuary and a battlefield. Protecting your boundaries, whether it's your home, your time, or your dignity, often means making tough calls. Sometimes you're the hero, sometimes you're the idiot. But one thing's clear: standing up for what matters to you takes courage, especially when it means defying those you love. So where would you draw the line? That's the question these stories leave you with, lingering long after the last word.